Today will be the concluding trilogy of Foot on the Dashboard. And I want to continue with in the vein of what I talked about 2 days ago, which is about dystopia snuck up on us suddenly. We were looking ahead, thinking, "Oh no, what dark twist could possibly happen in the future that might bring us to an Orwellian state, which came to be known as dystopia. Eventually, what's going to take us into Blade Runner territory? You know, how are we going to end up in Terry Gilliam's Brazil? What's going to go wrong that's going to make us suddenly find ourselves in one of those types of cinematic or literary depictions of a hell on earth. And while we were thinking about it, it just happened. It just snuck up on us. Now, the other day I talked about this, and I talked about the long, kind of the not long because it snuck up on us, right? If it was a really long march, then we could have said we saw it coming. But I think we can say I can say with confidence in 2023, even though I'm living in the freest country in the world, and uh, you know, technically I still have all the rights that are discussed in the or enshrined in the U.S. Constitution. Um, I would also say that I am well aware that that's mostly a joke, and if it if I get by, with saying what's on my mind and not getting imprisoned for it, I still, there's still the soft totalitarianism, so they call it, the state where you say the wrong thing and they don't throw you in prison, they don't put you up on a show trial and then execute you for saying the wrong thing or supporting the wrong cause or what have you. Wrong in quotation marks, of course. But they do ruin you. They ruin your life. And I'm not saying anything new here. I'm not saying anything especially new or profound. This has been going on for a while. And the internet has certainly facilitated this. The ability of, well, I think that the ability to track someone down, the surveillance state, which is also the surveillance state has been facilitated by technology, which Uncle Ted knew well, didn't he? I'm not a disciple of. I'm not a Kaczynskian, but at the same time, there are certain things you can't deny that he was a genuine prophet about. I don't support him sending bombs to people, but a lot of what he had his finger on the pulse of what was really quite true, but it just took us all a lot longer to find out, and it's much truer now than it was in the early to mid '90s when he was doing his thing. So, what I want to talk about now is the acceleration of things, how things got especially accelerated um, in starting in 2020, starting in particular in March of 2020. And when I was thinking about this the other day, again, I'm not claiming these are revolutionary revelations and that I'm the first person ever to say something like this. Okay, so please grant me some latitude here. But I do think that it's interesting to think about it all as what's been called a shit test. Now, I've heard about, like, when I first found out what a shit test was, you could, if you can believe, I went through, a couple of decades of marriage, and I didn't know what a shit test was. I knew it, but I didn't know. I didn't know. I mean, I sort of knew the contours of it, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't know. And then when somebody told me, or when I found out about what constituted a shit test in male-female relations, then I realized, aha, yeah, I know that. I know that pretty darn well. And every man does, don't we? So, for those not in the know, and just a quick definition, because you can look it up elsewhere. You can to find a fuller explication of the whole shit test definition. But essentially, a shit test is when somebody puts you through something in an effort to see if you'll put up with it. In other words, are you going to take their shit? And if you say, no, I'm not taking this, I'm not taking this off of you, and you don't just go along to get along, you don't become amiable and obedient, but you say, no, not happening, I'm not going to do that, then you've passed the shit test. But if you say, I'm not going to get any more personal about my own life, but I'll just say, if you don't know what a shit test is and you don't know the function of it, then you're much more likely to just be like, come on, like what do you want? I just want to make you happy. What's going to make you happy here? Just tell me what you want me to do, right? Boy, that just those words. Hearing those words just is haunts me like a ghost. It's so familiar. But anyway, yeah. When you say that, when you respond in that kind of way, then you failed. You failed the shit test. You've shown that you're a pushover. You're going to get pushed around. And that's when you're not, in the context of male-female relationships, you've shown that you're not really a man. You're not really the man if all you do is just say, yes, dear, whatever makes you happy. And I'm not, like, there are reasonable requests. There are, I'm not saying anytime something is asked of you and you have to refuse to give it, or else you failed a shit test. I'm not saying everything is a shit test, but when it's something that's obviously unreasonable, when it's something where she's putting you through hell, she's playing mind games, she's really just, I mean, she's sincerely unhappy. So there's an aspect of it that's genuine, but there's definitely also an aspect of it that's highly manipulative. And it's just something that I think they do. That's just a fact of existence. And at one time, people knew what it was, knew what to call it, and knew what to do about it. And that was when men were men. But we don't live in a time when men are men anymore, do we? And what if, thinking about the past 3 years, what if it was a massive shit test? In addition to everything else, on top of everything else, all of the other ways that they've twisted reality, all of the other ways in which they have made it so that up is down, down is up, wrong is right, male is female, black is white, red is blue, 2 plus 2 equals 5. All the other nonsense that they've attempted to promulgate. And people have largely rolled over and said, "Oh yeah, well if this is the new thing now, and I'm a bad person if I don't believe this. If I'm a bad person if I don't go along with this. Then sure, I'm going to go along with it and show what a good person I am." Then you failed the proverbial shit test. And the thing is, I think with the powers that be, they are much more calculating. I think for in male female relations, it's more of just something that it's a way in which a woman tests a man's ability to be a man, because she wants to be with somebody who's really a man, who's going to stand up. If he won't stand up to her, then how is he going to stand up for her? How is he going to stand up to protect her? Right. So I think that's how it works on that level. But with these kinds of things, with the authorities, continually insisting more and more unreasonable requests, and people capitulating, people giving in because they don't want to question authority, because they don't want to be be construed as a bad person. This is the quote unquote soft totalitarianism. Even though it doesn't seem to me all that soft, it doesn't seem to me soft at all, right? Like, wear a pride flag and put your pronouns in your bio, or you lose your job. That's not that's supposedly the soft form of totalitarianism, right? It's the hard form would be, don't do these things and you're going to go to prison. The soft totalitarianism is don't do these things and you're out of a job. And if you write articles or record videos or go on the record in any way talking about how these things are stupid and ridiculous, then they can ensure that then they'll put you on a hate list, and your social credit declines, and you're less likely to be hireable for anything, any kind of job which has which savors of prestige, right? You can still be a fry cook and whatever. I'm not putting down fry cooks or other jobs like that, but those are, I don't think they don't generally come after you. Hey, that guy cooking the French fries, he's a racist. Fire him from his, from his low-paying job with no prestige. But anyway, the people don't want to stand up, and part of this is because we are conditioned. We're socially conditioned to a certain state of tribalism, and under healthy conditions, tribalism is a very healthy thing. Solidarity with one's brethren is a healthy thing in the right context. But in the wrong context, with the wrong people in charge, with if you're being ruled not by just and good people with who have the best of intentions and desire the greatest good for the greatest number of people, but you're ruled by depraved pedophiles, and and other such creatures, such as the case today, then this again, everything can get turned on its head, and they'll make demands of you, and if you don't put your foot down, if you don't say no, the demand will never stop. We were like in the aughts, whatever, like into the early teens, it was about gay marriage. There was never anything like gay marriage before in history. And I can say that in my lifetime, growing up in the 80s, I remember growing up in a liberal city like Atlanta and going to a liberal college like Emory University in Atlanta. There were gay activists. None of them were talking about, it's so unfair that we can't get married. It's so unfair that we can't marry each other. Nobody said anything like that. Nobody was thinking along those lines. They had their grievances, but it wasn't about that. That just wasn't even on the menu. It wasn't on the table. Somewhere along the way, they said, "Hey, let's make this a thing now. Let's make it so that you have to call it marriage. You could live together with your boyfriend or your girlfriend and consider yourselves married. Nobody said that you couldn't. I mean, not everybody liked it. Not everybody was down with it. And yes, you probably faced people being mean to you or being ugly in one way or another. Being ugly. Sorry, that's kind of a southernism there. And I was always like, leave them alone, let them do their thing. Don't be mean to them. Don't I was liberal by 80s standards, and I haven't really changed, but somehow along the way, as they gain more power, as this whole movement grew, again, the movement that started out being called political correctness or PC, and eventually came to be called woke. But as it grew, grew in power and clout, which was no coincidence. I mean, it grew in power and clout because it was being made to grow in power and clout. It wasn't because they were winning arguments left and right. It wasn't because they were showing themselves to be, a movement doesn't prosper because people see the error of their ways, or they're convinced by an argument. It's because something gets behind it. Something powerful gets behind it, and something powerful is and was behind not just gay stuff, but a lot of stuff. I mean, the gay marriage thing, it's small potatoes now, isn't it? I mean, I don't even I don't even care particularly about it right now. It's like, boy, we've got some much worse fish to fry than that. Gay marriage sounds positively wholesome compared to what they're trying to normalize now. But the thing is, they would get you with you're being a bad person, you're racist, sexist, homophobic, which are these things, these classifications, which are uniquely bad. It's if you cheat on your wife, but you're racist. If you cheat on your wife, but you're anti-racist, then you're basically okay, right? But if you're faithful to your wife, but you're said to be racist, then you're a bad person. I mean, that's part of just the inversion of everything. Just all of these notions and beliefs, which really didn't even so much exist. Of course, I mean, there were racial discrimination was a thing, and I'm not saying there were never any legitimate issues surrounding it or other things. I'm not saying that the whole that all of the civil rights movement and other such things were all just a farce and didn't really matter, didn't really touch on anything that was substantial. But as far as as political correctness or wokeness goes, is when that movement started, when this behemoth took form, and it took form in the late 80s, which is when it was simultaneous with what other major historical event? It was it happened concomitantly with the end of communism and the end of the Cold War. Again, I've talked about this before, but I really think that's important. I really do. So many things have just been a shit test. Where it's essentially like, yeah, you have things to lose, like you might lose friends, or you might, as I said, that you might get blackballed. You might not be able to hold on to prestigious jobs, and like those sorts of things. But generally speaking, if there had been a robust counter movement, if there had been a we're not taking this, we don't care, you can try to make us feel guilty all you want, you can try to stigmatize us and call us bad people and shame us all you want. This is where we're standing. We're not down with this. We're not down with y'all. And you can just take your manipulations and shove them. If there had been a robust movement countering all of this, then it wouldn't have happened. Then they would have, the ones pushing for it would have cut their losses. They would have stopped eventually because they would have seen, all right, we're not getting anywhere right now. Maybe we should bide our time, but let's just cut our losses for now and drop this. But the more they got, the more they kept pushing. And I'm going to say that the people that are behind all of this, I used gay marriage as an example, but I don't think they care at all about social issues. I don't think they care about people gay, straight, white, black, whatever. I think that's completely something that is used as a means of agitation. And it was a shit test, and people just kept capitulating to the shit test because they didn't want to be seen as bad people. Basically, they saw that they would be alone if they stood up against it, and they were like, this is too onerous. I can't handle this. I can't stand up against this all by myself. So, and nobody's gonna be with me. So, I'll just capitulate. I'll just give in. And then once I give in, they'll go away. They'll stop. The shit test will stop. My wife will stop bullying me. My wife will stop pestering me. My wife will stop being demanding and being unreasonable. If I just break down and say, okay, honey, fine, just what do you want? Just tell me what you want, and I'll give it to you. All right, I'll do whatever you want me to do. If you just say that, except to the authorities, then surely all this will end. Finally, at last. But it didn't, did it? Sure didn't. All right, I see now I'm gonna have to break this into two separate videos. So let's do one more dashboard video, and then we'll be done with the dashboard series. Thanks for watching. Leave your comments below.